A year ago, Gi-hun participated in a competition known as the Squid Games, in which people in debt play for a huge amount of money. As the winner, Gi-hun received the big prize, but all the other players died. Now Gi-hun is at the airport trying to leave for the USA to reconnect with his daughter. However, after seeing another desperate man being invited to the game, Gi-hun decides to stay and find the people behind the games to bring them down. He receives a call from the person overseeing the games known as the front man, who warns him he'll regret it, but Gi-hun ignores him. On his way back to Seoul, he stops at a store and buys a knife. Then in the bathroom he searches his body until he discovers there's a tracker behind his ear and takes it out. Meanwhile, Detective Jun-ho wakes up without knowing where he is. A year ago he had infiltrated the games to look for his brother In-ho, who turned out to be the front man. In-ho shot Jun-ho and let him fall off the cliff, assuming he was dead. However, he was rescued by a ship and taken to the hospital, where he's now waking up from a coma. 2 years later, Jun-ho is working as a traffic officer. Since he lost his phone with all the proof of the games in the ocean, he almost got fired for disappearing for many days without a word, but his boss put in a good word for Jun-ho and he only got demoted. In his free time he meets with Captain Park, the man who found his body in the water. Together they're searching every island in the area to find the games again. In the meantime, Gi-hun is hiding in a motel where he's installed tons of security cameras. One night, he finds the front man at the door with 2 human heads, but it's just a nightmare. Later he meets with loan shark Mr. Kim and his assistant Woo-sok, who he's hired to look for the man recruiting new players for the games. So far they haven't found him, so Gi-hun pays them extra money to hire more people and even offers a big reward for whoever catches him. Kim and Woo-sok organize a whole operation by hiring a bunch of gangsters. They share all the clues they have and spread through every subway station, checking any man that barely fits the description. However, there's been no success so far, and Woo-sok is starting to wonder if the story is true. One night while taking a break, the duo finally sees the recruiter playing a slapping game and giving the invitation to Myung-gi. As the recruiter leaves the station, Kim and Woo-sok follow him while calling Gi-hun to warn him. At that same time, Myung-gi gets a call from his pregnant ex-girlfriend Jun-hee, but he doesn't answer. Jun-hee is currently at the clinic but cancels the appointment after she also gets an invitation to the games. Moments later, the recruiter goes to the park and approaches tramps to make them choose between a bread roll or a scratch card. Only one person chooses the bread, all the others choose the card, but not a single one has a prize. Afterward, the recruiter throws the leftover bread on the ground and starts stomping on them, saying it was the tramps who wasted this food. Kim and Woo-sok record it all and send it to Gi-hun. Downtown, Gi-hun is driving too fast and is pulled over by the police. A rookie takes his personal information before letting him go with a ticket, and when Jun-ho looks at his partner's screen, he recognizes Gi-hun's name from the games. He searches the name in the system and gets an address from a car rental company. At the park, the recruiter leaves, so Kim and Woo-sok follow him into an alley to catch him. However, the recruiter is fast and easily overpowers them both. Moments later, Gi-hun finally arrives and finds some blood and a knife, but not the men. Meanwhile, the recruiter has taken Kim and Woo-sok up to a fancy room and tied them up. He tells them they must play rock paper scissors and the loser will have to play Russian roulette. During the first few rounds nothing happens because there's only one bullet in the gun, so the chances are low. However, the recruiter adds a bullet each turn and eventually Mr. Kim is shot in the head. Seeing this, a terrified Woo-sok agrees to talk. In the evening, Jun-ho breaks into the office where Kim organized the operation and finds some paperwork with the motel address. When Gi-hun returns to the motel, the recruiter is waiting for him. He shares that he started as a mere grunt in the games and he had to remove the bodies of the dead players or shoot those who misbehaved. One day he had to take care of a player who turned out to be his father, yet the recruiter didn't hesitate to kill him too. Then the recruiter announces they'll be playing Russian roulette. The gun changes hands over and over with nothing happening for several rounds, but eventually the bullet hits the recruiter and he instantly dies. Gi-hun checks his pockets and finds a black envelope. At that moment, Jun-ho bursts into the hotel and finds Woo-sok in a random room. After freeing him, he keeps searching and finds Gi-hun. When he's about to arrest him, Woo-sok knocks Jun-ho out with a fire extinguisher. Gi-hun checks the card from the envelope, which mentions the club HDH and the date October 31st at midnight. When Jun-ho wakes up, he and Gi-hun share what they know and agree to work together to end the games. Woo-sok wants to help too to avenge Kim. Gi-hun shows them all the money he won and the weapons he's collected so far. There's a hole in the wall that takes them to a back room where they can practice shooting without anyone hearing. At the parking lot of an amusement park, No Oil is sleeping in her car. A cop knocks on her window and warns her she can't do this, so this must be the last time. The next day she starts her shift as a park mascot, and she's so nice to the children that a girl gifts her a drawing. After work, she takes the little money she made to a broker, hoping he can rescue her daughter from North Korea. However, he's already searched for the kid to no avail and there's nothing else he can do. That night, a new recruiter brings No Oil an invitation to the games. The next day she quits her job and calls the number on the card to agree to join the games. Then she burns the card and drawing the kid gave her. As part of the plan, Gi-hun gets a tooth removed and replaces it with a fake one that has a tracker. He also hires a bunch of thugs who train with his weapons in the hidden room. Later Gi-hun calls his daughter but doesn't dare to say anything, he only listens to her voice before hanging up. When the day finally comes, the club is full of people celebrating Halloween. Gi-hun and Woo-sok search the club while Jun-ho keeps guard outside. He notices two people wearing the guard uniforms from the games and follows them into the club, threatening the bouncer to be able to pass. Unfortunately he's too late, one of the guards chases Woo-sok to knock him out while the other makes Gi-hun leave the club. Jun-ho finds a sleeping Woo-sok and notices on the tracker that Gi-hun is leaving, so he warns the hired thugs. Gi-hun is brought to a limo that the thugs start following in their cars. The frontman talks to Gi-hun through a speaker, who refuses to stop the game when Gi-hun asks. He explains the game will continue as long as the system keeps on ruining people. When they reach an empty street, hidden snipers on various roofs fire at the tires of the thugs' cars to stop them. Gi-hun notices this and opens fire inside the limo, but the glass is bulletproof. Determined to follow the plan, Gi-hun has no choice but to volunteer to participate in the games again, and sleeping gas soon knocks him out. At the docks, 3 trucks pick up more people, including No Oil. She wasn't chosen to be a player though, she'll be one of the guards. The next morning, Jun-ho and Woo-sok get on Park's ship with the thugs to follow Gi-hun's signal on the tracker. On the island, Gi-hun wakes up in the Squid game facility with all the new players. He's wearing the game uniform and has the number 456 like last time. The guards arrive to explain the rules. The players will be here for 6 days, and those who win all 6 games get a big cash prize. Myung-gi interrupts to ask about his phone, so the guards play a video of him to reveal he used to be a YouTuber. His career ended when he promoted a new crypto coin and caused thousands of people to lose money. Now he's a wanted man for fraud. Other people also complained about the situation and the masks, so the video shows the very high debt of each person who opened their mouth. Then a huge piggy bank appears on the ceiling, which will accumulate money throughout the games until it reaches 45 billion. After each game, they can vote on whether to keep playing or not. If the majority votes to stop, everyone can leave with the money they'll have accumulated at that point. The guards are interrupted again when Young-sik discovers that his old mother Jeom-ja is also a player, but the games don't care about people's ages. The next step is signing the consent forms. After Myung-gi is done, he's approached by Nam-gyu and rapper Thanos, who lost money on the crypto scam. Myung-gi doesn't feel guilty and Thanos gets rather aggressive, so Nam-gyu has to pull them apart before things escalate. When it's Gi-hun's turn to sign, he reads the rest of the rules. Players can't quit and those who don't play will be eliminated. The only way to stop things is during the voting ceremony. Then the players get their pictures taken before they're sent out to the first game. Gi-hun is shocked to discover his old friend Young-bae is also playing and tells him to stay close to him. Meanwhile Jun-ho and his men follow the tracker until they finally arrive on the island and send out a drone to search for the facility. The island appears to be empty except for a fisherman. The group quickly surrounds him and finds the tracker among his tools, which means the game people removed it from Gi-hun's mouth when he was gassed. Soon the players are sent out to a yard where a huge doll is waiting. Gi-hun is worried because his friends don't show up and removes his dental implant to discover the tracker is gone, so he'll have to play. The first game will be red light green light. Players have 5 minutes to reach the other end of the yard, but they can only move when the doll says green light. If the doll says red light, everyone must stay still, and those who move will be out. Gi-hun tries to warn everyone that eliminated here means literally killed, but they don't believe him. The game finally starts and the frontman and Ho watches from his private room. Determined to save everyone, Gi-hun yells instructions saying when to move or when to freeze, allowing the whole group to advance a lot without trouble. However, when Thanos tells a woman that there's a bee on her neck, she freaks out and moves, so she instantly gets shot. Everyone is in shock as the bee flies away and scares another person into moving, so this player gets shot too. This causes lots of people to panic and try to run away, thus No Oil begins shooting them all down from her guard spot. Gi-hun keeps yelling to remind everyone to stay still, but they still lose dozens of players. Now people believe Gi-hun, so he explains the doll can only tell they're moving through sensors and they should hide behind players bigger than them. Whenever they can move, Thanos uses the chance to take some illegal candy that he hid in his necklace. Following Gi-hun's instructions, the group keeps on playing pretty well, although No Oil shoots a woman for trembling. Thanos pushes 3 players on purpose and they get killed too. A few more turns and many deaths later, half the group manages to cross the line. One of the shot players is still alive and Gi-hun goes back to help him reach the end, but No Oil breaks the rules and kills the bleeding man after he crosses the line. Once the players are back in the shared room, they're informed that 91 people were killed and 365 remain. When a bunch of players begin begging for their lives, Gi-hun reminds them they can vote to end the game now. First the guards fill the piggy bank with the money accumulated so far, which isn't much if they have to divide among so many players. The voting begins and the players have to press a button before they're given a sticker that represents their choice. Seeing that so many people are voting to stay, Gi-hun tries to warn them about the next games and an argument ensues, so he's forced to admit he did this before. Thanos sees this as an advantage because it means Gi-hun can help everyone survive. The guards interrupt the argument and force everyone to keep voting. The numbers reach a tie and only player 001 is left. This man votes to stay, and while half the group celebrates, it's revealed 001 is In-ho, who has joined the game in secret. Later during dinner, the players ask Gi-hun for tips on the next game. He tells them it's Dalgona, a game in which they must carve out a piece of candy without breaking it. Some players want to keep the information for themselves to have an advantage, but Gi-hun promises he'll help everyone equally. In-ho keeps asking Gi-hun why he came back, not understanding the concept of altruism. Meanwhile, Jeom-ja shares her food with Jun-hee because she can tell she's pregnant. Thanos and Nam-gyu keep on bothering Myung-gi until he snaps and starts a fight, so In-ho tries to calm them down. When Thanos and Nam-gyu try to fight him instead, In-ho shows his skills and easily overpowers them both. This earns him everyone's respect. In the middle of the night, In-ho tells Gi-hun that his pregnant wife is very sick and he needs money to pay for the treatment, gaining Gi-hun's pity. In the facility labs, the guards are having trouble harvesting the organs from the dead players. A lot of them have been deemed unsalvageable because they've been shot a second time, which isn't supposed to happen. They realize No Oil did that, so she's taken to see the officer, who is overseeing things while In-ho is in the game. The officer met No Oil 7 years ago when she was a rebel fighting in North Korea and hired her for the games in exchange for finding her child. He yells at her for breaking the rules, but No Oil doesn't care and just walks away. In Seoul, Jun-ho tries to get help from the police, but they still refuse to do anything without evidence. He tells Woo-sok and the thugs to keep searching the islands in the area, however Park says they'll have to wait to sail again because of the bad weather. The next day, Thanos continues to secretly take his happy candy. Jun-hee approaches Myung-gi to tell him she's keeping the baby, which goes against what they agreed on. The argument is interrupted when the second game is announced, but it's not Dalgona like Gi-hun predicted. The group is taken to the yard and asked to split into teams of 5. Most people don't trust Gi-hun anymore, so he ends up in a team with In-ho, Young-bae, Dae-ho, and Jun-hee. The game is 6-legged pentathlon and each team will have all their legs tied together. They'll take turns playing a mini-game at every 10-meter mark, and if they win, the team can move to the next one. There are 5 games and 5 minutes to finish them all. After the teams choose which player will play each game, the guards tie their ankles together. While the first 2 teams start playing, the waiting teams watch them to learn some strategies. Dae-ho watches a seize deal with some pieces and begins practicing with some stones from the ground. When a team fails at a game, they're allowed to start over as many times as necessary, but it loses a lot of time. This makes them more scared and nervous, causing them to make even more mistakes. Instead of paying attention, Nam-gyu asks Thanos to share his happy candy. When the first round ends, both teams fail to finish the games and all 10 players are shot in the spot. More guards arrive to take the bodies away in coffins, but No Oil always makes sure to shoot them again. The next team to play is Jeom-ja's. Young-mi is very nervous and keeps losing the first game, but Yoon-ju gently calms her down and she manages to win. Young-sik misses the first rock throw, but nails the second. Jeom-ja plays with the little pieces and makes a small mistake, however she quickly recovers and wins thanks to her son's support. As the crowd cheers for them, the 5th team member gets too nervous because she sees the blood on the ground and she can't get the spinning top ready after many tries. Yoon-ju slaps her a couple of times and threatens her until she concentrates, which helps her use the spinning top correctly. Lastly, Yoon-ju has to kick a pom-pom 5 times and pulls it off on her first try, so the team wins the challenge just in time. The teams keep playing with various degrees of success. Most of them pass, including Thanos' group, but a few lose and get killed, so there's blood everywhere now. The final 2 teams are some randoms and Gi-hun's. Jun-hee starts by winning on her first try, and Young-bae does the rock toss on his first try too. Thanks to his practice, Dae-ho is also successful without missing. Unfortunately, In-ho keeps missing the spinning top and starts freaking out, so Gi-hun has to calm him down. Thanks to that support, In-ho finally wins the game. With only a few seconds left, Gi-hun begins kicking the pom-pom and almost misses, but In-ho helps him move and the team successfully finishes the challenge. The other team doesn't make it and they're killed. When the players return to the room, Yoon-ju shares with her team that she needs the money to pay for the operation to finish her transition. Nobody is happy to see that Gi-hun has made it. His team decides to do proper introductions, and In-ho uses a fake name. Meanwhile, 2 guards push No Oil into her room and scold her for ruining the bodies. She tries defending herself, but there are 2 of them and they have a knife, so they overpower her. As they cut her cheek, they tell her this is the last warning. If she messes with the bodies again, they'll cut her fingers. Afterward, the guards go to the players' room to add the money to the piggy bank and announce 110 players died during the last game, which means 255 are left. Now it's time to vote, and Jin-hun's team, including In-ho, agrees to choose to stop. Young-sik ignores his mother's worries and chooses to continue. The votes are looking like a tie again, so In-ho gives a speech to try to convince everyone to stop. However, an old man insists it's still not enough money since most people here have huge debts. An argument ensues again, so the guy begins chanting one more game, quickly gaining the support of lots of people. In the end, staying in the game wins. Later over dinner, Young-sik explains to his mother that he has more debt than she knows about, but Jeom-ja is still disappointed by him. Gi-hun's team isn't happy with Young-bae either because he also voted to stay, but they still keep him around. They also give Jun-hee some extra food for the baby. In the bathroom, Thanos' team is harassing Myung-gi because he chose to leave, but when they're about to fight, In-ho comes in and Thanos leaves in fear. The mood in the entire room is tense and everyone is wary, so Gi-hun tells his team to sleep under the beds and take turns keeping watch in case of an attack. In the middle of the night, Jeom-ja needs to go to the bathroom and tells her son not to worry because she has a knife hidden in her hair. The guards tell her nobody can come in or out at this hour, but she cries and begs until she's allowed to go. The next morning, Jun-ho divides his team into 2 groups to keep searching all the islands in the area. At the facility, the players are taken to a room that looks like a carousel for the 3rd game. It's called Mingle and they have to step on the platform, which will start rotating. When they hear a number, the players must form groups of that size and go into rooms in just 30 seconds. As the platform begins to spin with all the players on it, a children's song starts to play. The first number is 10 and people immediately panic as they grab whoever is closer and run to the doors. When time runs out, the few players that stayed behind are immediately killed. After the bodies are taken away, the platform spins again and the chosen number is 4. Players panic again and the teams of 5 from the previous game have no choice but to split. Most people manage to find enough partners to run to the doors. There's one group that only brings 3 people. After time runs out, the guards shoot the players left on the platform but also the team that got the wrong number. This time No Oil doesn't shoot the bodies more than once and follows protocol correctly. For the next round, the number is 3. People freak out again and the mood is tense because many players are offended after the split from last time. Young-sik is dragged away by 2 guys, so Jeom-ja ends up in a room with In-ho and Gi-hun. A manipulative In-ho asks seemingly innocent questions about Young-sik to make it look like he abandoned his mother, planting the seed of doubt in her mind although she defends him. After the losers get killed, Jeom-ja reunites with her crying son with a tight hug. The following number is 6. The teams are formed pretty quickly but as they hurry to the doors, Young-mi is pushed off and she is left outside. Yoon-ju and Jeom-ja are devastated by her death and Yoon-ju yells at Myung-gi for closing the door, but he points out their group was full so he saved the team's lives. The number for the final round is 2. In-ho pushes a guy out of the way to make it to the door with Young-bae, but a 3rd person comes in before they can lock it. Without hesitation, In-ho kills the 3rd guy so the number in the room is correct. The game ends with only 100 players still alive. In the meantime, Jun-ho sends out a drone from the ship to take a better look at all the islands at the same time. Eventually he finds a door hidden under the bushes, so the group heads there to investigate. When they try opening the door, a hidden bomb explodes and sends them all flying. Most of the group survives, but sadly one thug returns to the ship as a dead body. Park thinks they should go back but the group refuses and Jun-ho starts putting new rules in place to avoid more information leaking, since he thinks they have a mole. When the players return to their room, Myung-gi tells Jun-hee they should try to be together again after the games are over. However, when he starts talking about investing, she realizes he only wants the money and turns him down. Young-bae counts the stickers and realizes there are more people who want to stay, so Gi-hun wants to talk to them to try to change their minds. However, In-ho points out that the more they bother them, the angrier people will get and they can't afford another fight. Soon the guards arrive and the voting begins. Many people are changing their minds including Yoon-ju, who doesn't want to play anymore after seeing Young-mi's death, and Young-sik who wants to make his mother proud. In the end, it's a perfect 50-50 tie, so the guards announce they'll vote again the next day. During dinner, people gather according to their stickers to eat together. Both sides try to convince the other to change their minds and a new argument begins. While everyone fights, Gi-hun notices that his food package includes a fork, which tonight's dish doesn't need. Later Thanos and Nam-gyu harass Min-soo in the bathroom to try to change his mind about the vote. Thanos begins yelling and is interrupted by Myung-gi, who calls other men in his voting group to defend Min-soo. Thanos calls for backup too and starts insulting Jun-hee to taunt Myung-gi, who falls for it and tries to punch him. This triggers a full fight among all the men in the bathroom and Min-soo uses the chance to escape. A furious Thanos pushes Myung-gi to the ground to start choking him, so Myung-gi retaliates by stabbing him with a fork in the neck. Then Myung-gi kicks Thanos off and hides in a stall. Since the fork is still in Thanos' neck, other players grab it and use it to kill too. The fight also breaks a mirror, providing them with shards to do more killing. 2 guards outside hear what's going on but do nothing. Soon 5 deaths are announced in the main room and the money is added to the piggy bank. The men from the bathroom come back and start accusing each other of starting the fight to make the other team look bad. As they begin arguing again, they count the stickers and notice that the team that wants to leave now has more people. The tense moment is interrupted when the guards send them all to bed. On the ship, one of the thugs discovers Park messing with the drone, so Park quickly stabs him and throws him into the water. When a man comes over to check on the noise, Park pretends it was a wave hitting some boxes. Back in the facility, the guards are told to get ready for a special game. Gi-hun thinks the other team will attack them during the night and In-ho believes they should attack first, but Gi-hun disagrees. He points out they shouldn't be killing each other, instead they should be teaming up to go after the people in charge. His plan is to wait for the fight in the room to start and try to take the guns from the guards using the element of surprise. Meanwhile, Nam-gyu has stolen Thanos' necklace and is taking too many happy candies. He also reveals he has the fork. He takes pity on Myung-gi and tells him to hide when the fight starts. As soon as the lights go out, Gi-hun and his close friends hide under the beds. The other team attacks and soon people are dying all over the place. Because of the darkness, sometimes they don't even know whose team the victim is on. It hurts Gi-hun to watch all these deaths and not help, but he thinks this small sacrifice is needed to avoid more deaths in the future. Min-soo throws some glass to try to kill Nam-gyu, but his aim fails and Nam-gyu uses the shard to kill more people. Eventually the lights are turned on and the guards come into the room to stop the fight. Gi-hun and his team pretend to be dead and when the guards try to check on them, they pounce on them to steal their guns. The players immediately open fire and kill half of the guards while the other half hides behind some beds to shoot back. The more guards are killed, the more guns the players can steal. Noticing this, the officer tells the remaining guards to leave the room and the door is locked. One guard accidentally stays behind and is taken hostage. Then one of the armed players wants to shoot at all the people who attacked in the middle of the night, but Gi-hun tops him. While Yoon-ju shoots the security cameras, Gi-hun and Young-bae give a speech asking for more volunteers to kill the higher-ups. Young-sik wants to join, but his mother stops him. He makes a gesture at Myung-gi to make him stay too. Not many people join the team, but they're still determined to go ahead with the plan. They share the guns and the radios while Yoon-ju teaches them how to use the more advanced weapons, since she used to be a sergeant in the special forces. Afterward the team forces the hostage to guide them to the admin office. When they reach the colorful stairs, they're ambushed by more soldiers who immediately open fire. A shootout ensues and the team quickly brings down all the guards without much trouble. After destroying the cameras here too, they keep moving while gathering bullets from the fallen soldiers on the way. When they are about to reach the admin door, more guards appear and open fire again, quickly killing the hostage. As another gunfight begins, Gi-hun and Young-bae decide to move ahead and search for the boss while the rest of the team buys them time. The duo opens every door in the corridor and they all appear blocked. Then Gi-hun notices a sensor on the wall and puts up a soldier mask, which opens a wall into another corridor. They encounter more guards on the way, so they use the mask to trick them and shoot them down only for more guards to come after them. In the main corridor, the team loses a few people and is running out of bullets. Gi-hun and Young-bae call them to tell them they're stuck with soldiers too, so In-ho and two guys run to help them. Dae-ho volunteers to look for more bodies to get more ammo. Meanwhile Gi-hun takes a risk and goes closer to the bodies to steal some bullets, rolling out of the way with only a graze on his arm. At that moment In-ho arrives with the two men and tells Gi-hun he's found an alternate entrance to the office, but he needs the duo to keep the guards distracted. Gi-hun agrees and gives him his last ammo, thinking Dae-ho will arrive soon with more. In the room, Dae-ho gathers all the ammo he can find in the dead bodies with the help of the others. However, on his way out, he hears all the shooting and gets scared, so he drops the radio and returns to the room to stay with the others. Yoon-ju thinks it's suspicious nobody answers the radio and decides to go investigate. Once In-ho is alone with the two men in the hallway, he waits for them to turn around and kills them both. Then he calls Gi-hun on the radio and pretends they were all shot, using the dying noises of his teammates to make it look like he's dead too. He also calls his men to order them to wrap things up. In the main room, Yoon-ju gets all the ammo from Dae-ho, but before she can leave a bunch of guards arrive. She wants to fight them, however Jeom-ja convinces her to stay hidden since she can't win alone. In the main corridor, one of the team members decides to self-delete with his last bullet. The other two surrender, but the guards kill them anyway. Hearing all this on the radio, Gi-hun and Young-bae surrender as well. In-ho appears wearing the frontman mask again and tells Gi-hun these are the consequences of playing hero before he shoots Young-bae in the head. Gi-hun freaks out over the loss of his friend so the guards have to hold him down. Sometime later, the remaining players are playing red light green light with two dolls this time.